Right, good morning everyone. Thank you for dialing in to our seed treatment webinar this morning. This meeting will be recorded, so you will be able to get a copy of it afterwards. Right, so let's make a start. Sorry, it's being a bit slow moving on. Right, so your presenters today are me, I'm Gillian Coleman, I'm the Marketing Manager for Seed Care. And we've got Jonathan Ronksley, who's our Field Technical Manager for Seed Care as well. So what we're going to cover, we're going to do some quick housekeeping bits. Then John is going to cover why we use a seed treatment, Vibrance Duo on wheat, and then new looking at Vibrance Duo on barley. And then at the end, we'll have a question and answer session. So from a housekeeping point of view, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A function. If you click on that and post any questions that you have there, they'll come directly to me and then we'll answer them all at the end. Afterwards, we'll send out a link to everyone with more information on, so that'll have a copy of this recording and direct you to the right place to find this for more information on the website. We also have basis and Neroso points available, and to get them you will need to fill in the little survey app that we'll send you out afterwards with your details on so we can sign you up. So sit back, relax and enjoy the webinar. First of all though, what we would like to do is just find out who has used or recommended Vibrance Duo and wheat. So you should see a poll has come up on your screen. If you would like to click yes or no, then we'll have a bit of an idea as to sort of where you are with your knowledge already. Okay, I can see votes coming in, which is good. It means people can actually see and use this, which is a good start. Okay, we'll finish there. So we have 80% nearly have used Vibrance Duo or recommended it in the past, which is a great result. But welcome to those 20% of you that haven't, and hopefully you'll find something very useful here. So I will now pass on to John, who will take you through everything.
Thanks, Jill, and thanks everyone for attending. It's good to see that lots of you have already experienced Vibrance Duo. So we'll run through the winter wheat, and then we'll talk about barley as well, where it's just been launched. So that's obviously exciting. Just then get the slide to move on. There we go. So clearly, the past few seasons, we're starting to see these extremes of weather more and more. So it's important to build a resilient crop. So if you can improve crop establishment and improve rooting, that's really going to go into improve plant health, and then able to tolerate these extremes of weather we seem to be having. So these are just a few examples from the past few seasons. So 2017-18, we obviously saw the beast from the east come along. So that was late winter, early spring sort of time. So it's critical to have got good crop establishment, get that strong, healthy crop so it is able to tolerate those conditions. And then that same season, there was a lot of droughty weather within the summer, so very, very hot and dry. So again, it was important to get get really good rooting to be able to tolerate those drought conditions. Last season, it was a bit of a kinder season. So the autumn was the exact opposite to this season. It was quite a long, open drilling window. And then there was moisture within the summer as well. So 2018-19 was generally a kinder season, certainly kinder than 2017-18, and a lot kinder than this season. So this season, I don't have to tell you, it obviously was a very, very challenging autumn. It was very wet. There was a lot of flooding. It was very hard to get crops established well. And then, believe it not, you couldn't believe after all of that rain within the autumn time that the springtime turned out to be quite droughty. So obviously in these sorts of situations, that if you can get good establishment and rooting, then that's going to be a real benefit. And one of your first decisions is to choose a good quality seed dressing. So to maximize establishment, you need to control for key seed and soil-borne diseases such as fusarium and mycodochium, which can certainly reduce establishment. If you can get good, speedy crop establishment, if you can lay that root in, it's going to maximize your crop yield and crop quality. So it's an important decision to choose a good quality seed dressing. And I just chose one example here. This is fusarium infected seed, and this is untreated compared to our standard fungicidal dressing, Beret Gold. So we know that Beret is very effective on fusarium and mycodochium, and in the example here you can see compared to the untreated you're getting much better plant establishment, so 285 plants a metre squared compared to 152, and you're getting that better crop vigour as well from controlling that disease there. And we've got lots and lots of trials looking at fusarium and mycodochium control in winter wheat, which are the key diseases to control for. This is an example from Newark Innovation Centre. It's disease seed again, so fusarium in green and mycodochium in brown. And this is the increase in plant stand over the untreated seed. So the untreated is classed as 100%, and it's the increase in plant stand above that due to control of the fusarium and mycodochium. If you compare to the standard seed dressings, the Redigo Pro and the Beret Gold, you can see that the Beret Gold there, it has got a better plant stand compared to the Redigo Pro, and that's because Beret Gold is a very effective seed dressing at controlling for fusarium and mycodochium. But VIBRANCE Duo is certainly the best technical product for control of these diseases. So you can see, compared to Beret Gold, you're getting a benefit again in terms of the disease control and really maximising that crop establishment there. And just to note as well as seed-borne infection, we do know that mycodochium and fusarium, they are also present within the soil. So even if you've had your seed tested and it's clean, you don't know what's lurking within your soil. So it's always a good policy to use a good quality seed dressing. So VIBRANCE Duo is definitely the best technical product against seed and soil-borne diseases, but what really separates it from other fungicidal seed dressings is its improvements in plant establishment and rooting. You get faster establishment, you get more plants established, and you get this rooting benefit. So this is data from the past 2 seasons. So the beast from the East year, and then also the following year in a much kinder season. But you see in both seasons, whether it was a very stressful season or whether it was a kinder season, in both seasons you're seeing similar increases in plant establishment and similar rooting benefits. So the VIBRANCE Duo is a really good insurance policy in case the weather turns against you. So a couple of examples from the beast from the East year. This is over at Newark. This is you can see how wet it is there. This is during the beast from the East. You can see that the VIBRANCE Duo plot, which is on the left-hand side there, is far better established than the Redigo Pro plot there. And the VIBRANCE Duo, because it had faster, better establishment, it was a stronger healthier crop that was able to deal with that stress. And similarly, going into the summertime, this is an example from Little Port over in Suffolk. It was obviously quite droughty, it was very hot and dry. The left-hand side is the VIBRANCE Duo, that better rooting, able to maintain that green leaf area, whereas the Redigo Pro, which is on the right-hand side, was droughting off much, much quicker there. So you can really see the rooting benefit from the VIBRANCE there. And just to go into a little bit more detail on those sites, the Newark example, the end of the season, from that better establishment, and also it also had better drought tolerance on that site as well. We had over 1/2 ton yield advantage. And very similarly, for the Little Port example, again, in that situation where there's a lot of crop stress around, you're really seeing those yield benefits there. So again, over 1/2 ton yield advantage there compared to Redigo Pro. And this season, as I've said, obviously it was very, very wet. VIBRANCE in trials this season's performed well again. So you can see this is an example from ADAS. You're getting, it's a very wet site, and you're getting much, much better plant establishment with the VIBRANCE Duo treated gleams for 325 plants a metre squared compared to Redigo Pro at 280. So VIBRANCE there is just able to deal with these crop stresses better, essentially. And we know from that 2017-18 season, we know the positions where VIBRANCE Duo performs very, very well. So that season we did a lot of trials work in a delayed drill situation, so 34 sites. In a delayed drill situation, it was classed as any site drilled after the first week of October. Not overly late, but yeah, so after the first week of October. On the lighter land sites, we had 17 sites for that season, and we had 13 sites in the second week. And in those situations, we could see really good yield benefits. So in the delayed drill situation, where you're generally drilling into a wetter, colder seed bed, more stressful conditions, the VIBRANCE Duo, you can see it established faster than Redigo Pro, generally establishing with an increase in plant establishment as well. You're just wanting that crop to get up and out of the ground as fast as possible, and VIBRANCE Duos are really effective in that position there. So if you're delaying drilling for blackgrass control, for example, then VIBRANCE Duo is a really good option. Delaying drilling to avoid aphids for barley yellow dwarf virus control or avoidance. Again, that's another situation where VIBRANCE is a good option. Or if you're simply following a late harvested crop, then VIBRANCE, again, that's a really good option in that sort of delayed drill situation. On the lighter land sites, that better rooting with VIBRANCE Duo, if it is a particularly droughty season, then you will see the benefits with VIBRANCE over other fungicidal seed dressings from that better rooting. And then in second weeks as well, that improved establishment and rooting, we saw some yield benefits. Obviously, VIBRANCE Duo, it doesn't have any take-all activity. So if you are worried about take-all, we would recommend partnering it with Latitude. But in that situation, VIBRANCE Duo plus Latitude is a very, very safe mix. Whereas some of the other fungicidal seed dressings, when they're mixed with Latitude, they are very slow to emerge and establish. So VIBRANCE Duo is a really good option in those second weeks. But it's also worth pointing out that VIBRANCE Duo is also a very good option even in an earlier drilled situation. So you tend to see the biggest differences in the most stressful situations, but even when earlier drilling, we know that VIBRANCE, it still establishes faster, still establishes with higher plank bounce we still get that better rooting benefit. And we've seen lots and lots of situations where we see these benefits with Vibrance Duo in this earlier drilled slot. So this is an example from the AICC site last season over in Suffolk. So it drilled in September, so pretty early drilled, and you could see when I made it over to the site in November sort of time, it was getting quite dusky, but I made it just in time, and you could clearly see that the Vibrance Duo, there was much better crop vigor there compared to the Redigo Pro. The crop had obviously emerged probably faster and it had established better, and that came through with a 1/4 of a ton yield advantage. So some really nice benefits in that earlier drilled situation. And this is another example in that sort of situation, but from Berwick. And again, fairly early drilled in September, but you can see this big rooting benefit here compared to the Redigo Pro. And that came through again with a nice yield advantage. So certainly in those sorts of situations, Vibrance, it can be a really good option to use. And if you're worried about barley yellow dwarf virus, obviously if you're drilling earlier, it is a worry. Vibrance Duo, it doesn't have any insecticidal activity, but if you can get really good crop establishment, if you can get more plants established, a stronger, healthier crop, hopefully, if you do get any symptoms of barley yellow dwarf virus, then the Vibrance Duo should hopefully be able to tolerate them better than a product such as Redigo Pro. So yeah, that was the end of the wheat section, but we thought before I moved on to barley, we would just give you a quick quiz question. So what is the additional root? Oh, it's all right, you can read it. The additional root weight per hectare Vibrance Duo treated winter wheat versus Redigo Pro across a hectare of wheat. So is it a hamster, a kangaroo, or a panda? So yeah, they're coming in. Okay, so yeah, it's the pandas winning, I think. So yeah, 63% say the panda, and yes, you're exactly right. So over a hectare of winter wheat, the average rooting benefit from Vibrance Duo over Redigo Pro, it equates to a panda, which is 151.2 kilos to be precise. Well, that's the average root weight benefit per hectare that Vibrance Duo brings. So it's quite a significant benefit there. That's based on our trials work. So in terms of the questions for winter wheat, I will take them when we've finished the barley section. But yeah, so we're registered into barley now. Obviously very exciting. Two of the key diseases to control for in barley are loose smut and leaf stripe. You've probably seen symptoms of both before. The loose smut there, you get these smutted ears. You don't realise there's any sort of issue until the ears emerge. Similarly with leaf stripe, you get these foliage symptoms. And again, you don't realise there's any issue until it's too late. So it's critical to control for those diseases, and the only way to really control for them is to use a good quality seed dressing. So this is a label for Vibrance Duo in barley. You see it's treated at 2 litres per tonne, which is the same as wheat. So it's registered in winter barley and spring barley. It's got control of seed-borne snow mold, which is basically Microdochium nivale, and covered smut. And we've got moderate control of leaf stripe. But it's a moderate control claim, but we know from the biological dossier that we get 95% control. So it's really effective on leaf stripe. You need 98% control to get the full control for the label. So we're confident it's very good on leaf stripe. But just to note, there's one stipulation on the label that barley seed treated with VIBRANCE Duo, it cannot be used for seed multiplication crops if you're multiplying it for certified seed. So that's something that's important to note. And also we're going through the Camden approval. So until we've got approval, we won't recommend using VIBRANCE Duo on malting barley. So don't use it on a winter malting barley crop for this autumn until we've got approval. But one thing that is not on our label, we don't have a claim for loose smut. So we're recommending the co-application with a loose smut active partner. But we do know that VIBRANCE Duo does have effective control of loose smut. But by adding in a loose smut active partner, it really does boost the control to really, really high levels. So that's certainly what we're recommending to do. So here you can see an example here of a loose smut active partner. We've used the example of ipraconazole. And you can see here across the disease spectrum, by adding in the ipraconazole to the VIBRANCE Duo actives there, 3 is classed as excellent control. And you can see across the disease spectrum there, you're getting really, really strong control. And this set of trials from last season highlights that. So this is in spring barley, average of 5 trials from last season. The average % loose smut control across those trials. You can see the straight VIBRANCE Duo, it has got good activity. In this set of trials, it was comparable to Redigo Pro, which I guess is the market standard in spring barley. But by co-applying the VIBRANCE Duo with ipraconazole, you can really see a boost in the controller there of loose smut to nearly 100%. So VIBRANCE Duo with a loose smut active partner is a very good technical offer for controlling the key seed-borne diseases such as loose smut. So we know that VIBRANCE Duo, it's got good control of barley diseases, but just like in wheat, we see these establishment and rooting benefits. So this is an example from Berwick, built in September. Compared to untreated and Raxel Star, VIBRANCE Duo plus ipraconazole was giving a much better increase in plant establishment. So this was in King's Barn, which is a hybrid barley. Later in the season, when we did tiller counts, we had better tillering with VIBRANCE Duo. And you can see from the rooting digs we were doing, that's the untreated versus Raxel Star. They look quite similar. Exactly the same untreated, but with VIBRANCE Duo plus ipraconazole. And you can see there that the vigor benefit from the VIBRANCE Duo compared to the untreated and also the Raxel Star. So you can see the increase in the foliage, and you can see the increase in rooting as well. So exactly the same sorts of benefits in barley to wheat. And it's great to see the benefits over both the untreated seed and also Raxel Star, because it's obviously important to control for key seed and soil-borne diseases by applying it compared to untreated seed, but we also see the benefits in terms of the rooting and foliage weights as well. And we've seen this in multiple sites. So this is over in Shropshire. Again, you're getting better establishment with the VIBRANCE Duo plus ipraconazole. So that's Raxel Star, that's VIBRANCE Duo plus ipraconazole. Getting better, stronger crop establishment, more plants established. And using this Image J software where you turn the green black on these pictures, you can measure the ground cover. We're getting an increase in ground cover as well. And in terms of rooting on that site, again, exactly the same sorts of benefits, getting much bigger foliage weights, much bigger rooting weights as well. We're getting some really big differences compared to Raxel Star there with Vibrance Duo plus ipraconazole. Just like in hybrid barley and conventional barley as well, we see very similar effects. So this is in LG Flynn. You can see here that the right-hand plot is the Vibrance Duo ipraconazole. It's greener, crops more vigorous. You can see in the image J picture, certainly that increase in crop vigor compared to the Raxel Star. So you had more ground cover and those increases in rooting and foliage weights. So you're getting a much more stronger, healthier crop. It's a more resilient crop, better to able to deal with whatever crop stresses come along. And similarly in spring barley as well, we're seeing these similar benefits. So again, that better rooting in spring barley, the same as in winter wheat and winter barley. And this is one last example. This is in spring barley again, but from the Doncaster ryegrass site. So it's a very heavy land site. Again, the Vibrance Duo or the Vibrance Duo plus ipraconazole established much better than Redigo Pro. Established with more plants, it's better crop vigor. The image J analysis had better ground cover, and come the end of the season, these are the sorts of typical yields that we're seeing. So there, that's a 0.18 of a ton benefit with Vibrance Duo, and when you partner it with the ipraconazole there as a loose smut active partner, you're getting 0.21 of a ton per hectare yield advantage over Redigo Pro. So those are the typical sorts of yield benefits we are seeing in barley. So it's very similar to wheat, very good disease control, that better rooting and establishment leading to improved yields as well. So just to finish off, this is the summary. So don't underestimate seed and soil-borne diseases. They're critical to control for. And it's important to build a resilient crop, and Vibrance can help by building that better establishment and rooting. And certainly from past seasons, we've seen really good examples in wheat where Vibrance Duo is excellent in a delayed drill, a second wheat, and a light land situation, but also in those earlier drilled situations, it also performs very well. And now it's registered into spring and winter barley. It's great to see we get the very similar benefits in barley to wheat with that better rooting and establishment and disease control. But we do recommend that you apply Vibrance Duo with a loose smut active partner, just to make sure that you get really good control of loose smut. So yeah, I'll hand back to Jill.
Great, thank you very much, John. That was very interesting. We've had a few questions come in for you. So the first one I'd like to ask is, could you comment on using an SDHI as a seed treatment and whether this impacts the number of SDHIs we should use as foliar fungicides, specifically thinking about the FRAP guidelines?
Yeah, so for Sedaxane, which is in Vibrance Duo, we've done a lot of testing to show that it isn't systemic, so it doesn't go into the foliage, and it doesn't control your foliar diseases. So it doesn't control diseases such as septoria and rusts. It's specifically designed as a seed dressing. So because it doesn't go into the foliage, it isn't classed as one of your foliar SDHIs. So you're still allowed to use your 2 within your fungicide program later in the season. So there's no problem there at all.
Great, thank you. And then this one came in during the wheat section. What are the yield advantages? Were the yield advantages of 0.5 tons a hectare statistically significant?
So it was across multiple sites. And those 13 trial sites for the second wheats, most of them were farmer split field situations. So we tend to find that if you do trials over a large area on a farm scale, that's when you pull out some really good benefits. VIBRANCE Duo. And so obviously, because it was on a farmer size scale, there wasn't stats. But obviously, there's 13 trials there we've averaged together. So there was a lot of sites that were all showing a very similar trend with improved establishment, improved routing in those second weeks, and that was leading to improved yields. So we've got a lot of data backing up those averages, but in terms of stats, we don't have replicated stats on those trials for each of those trials because it was comparisons in a split field situation.
Right. Then, are there any problems with using over-yeared seed dressed with VIBRANCE Duo?
So, as long as it's stored correctly, we are confident that VIBRANCE Duo treated seed, it should be fine, but obviously it relies on you storing it correctly. And we would always recommend you have a germination test before you drill it. In terms of the label, obviously it doesn't recommend to over-year seed, but clearly some seasons when the weather's against you, it's unavoidable. But in that situation, we are confident that VIBRANCE Duo is one of the safer seed dressings to over-year. We feel it's safer than the triazole-based dressings.
Right. Then I will answer this one. VIBRANCE Duo, what about use on spring-sown wheats? So we're getting that hopefully put on the label soon. So we will update you as soon as we have the results from that. But we're hoping to be able to hear soon, and that will hopefully be before you need to sow any spring-sown wheats. So keep your eye out for that one, and we'll let you know as soon as possible. And then one last question. We've had a flurry come in right at the end here. Last one for you, John. Is the response as good on hybrid barley varieties?
Yeah, so it seems to be. We've got a lot of data showing excellent rooting benefits on the hybrid barleys. So we know we're getting that good establishment and rooting. In terms of yields, we're still waiting for the crops to be harvested. The reason we don't have many yields to date is because we were going to launch a product called VIBRANCE Star, which was essentially VIBRANCE Duo, but it had triticonnazole in it as a three-way mix. But unfortunately, we couldn't register the three-way mix. So now that's why we are recommending VIBRANCE Duo plus a loose small active partner. And we know that we're getting this really good rooting and establishment benefit. We do have yields in spring barley from last season with VIBRANCE Duo plus itraconazole, and those yields were very good, around the 0.2 of a ton sort of yield advantage. And we're confident, certainly from seeing the results from the establishment rooting data from this season, that we should get some really nice yield benefits in winter barley as well, similar to winter wheat. And we know if we had registered VIBRANCE Star, we were certainly seeing the yield benefits in hybrid barley. So we're confident we would see the similar yield benefits with VIBRANCE Duo plus a loose active partner.
Great. Sorry, there is one more question that has just come in that I think is important that we talk about. So it's, when do you think that we'll get clearance for malting barley? Until then, it's doubtful if we can use this in Scotland.
Am I answering that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were hopeful for the Camden approval now, but unfortunately with the coronavirus situation, obviously it's affected a lot of people and a lot of businesses in lots of different ways. In terms of doing the beer testing, the Camden approval, they weren't able to get enough people into the same room at the same time due to the lockdown restrictions. So, but now that things are easing, they're hoping to do the beer tasting very soon, and then we should get approval within about 3 months' time from the end of the beer tasting if it all goes to plan. But unfortunately, that's probably too too late for winter malting barley for this season. But we're hopeful that we'll get it approved before the spring barley season starts. But yeah, I appreciate for Scotland you drill a lot of winter malting barley, but obviously you can use it on hybrid barley and conventional feed barleys. But yeah, I appreciate that you drill a lot of winter malting barley within Scotland, so it's a bit of a unfortunate situation. But it's out of our control.
Great, thank you very much, John. We'll end it there. Thank you all very much for listening and for all your questions. It's been a really good session. We'll send it all out afterwards, a recording out afterwards, and remember to fill in the form so that you can get your basis and the ROSO points. Hope you all have a good day. Thank you.